Welcome back to Lunchtime BABLing. My name is Shea Brown. I'm the CEO of BABL AI, a company that audits algorithms for bias, ethical risk, and effective governance. I am joined once again by Jeffery Recker, and we have a new face, Emily Brown, no relation, but Emily's joining us to talk about questions that we get a lot in the courses. So many of you who are listening know that we have a training program for AI governance, algorithmic auditors, AI auditors, assurance professionals. And a lot of people come out of that program asking us questions about, well, even before they come into the program, about what do I do after this? What kind of work can I do? How do I get a job? Is there support getting a job in the job market? And so I felt like it was a good time, given all the uncertainty in the world, given that people are nervous about this, and a big reason for that is AI. I thought we should have this conversation. So thanks, folks, for joining us. Jeffrey, good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Thanks for having me on. I'll be, another person in the conversation. Really quick though, I'm going to make a cardinal sin of podcasting and being on film. I'm just going to point out my hair is crazy, and I got this one little guy that's like floating out here. And I'm going to be focused on that. So I know I'm not supposed to tell the audience because now that's all they'll focus on. So hopefully the conversation will keep people not focused on this one little curly hair there.
I thought it was intentional. I thought it was cute. I like this
little, thank you.
Little feature.
Me too. So Emily, we'd love to have you introduce yourself. Tell everybody kind of who you are and how you, I'll say how we met you. You came in through the program and through the classes. So why don't you let everybody know kind of, how you ended up here and what you do.
Yeah, thank you so much. I am Emily Brown. I am the interim chief of staff working under you, Shea. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I work on systems within BABL to get us prepared for operations that are changing and some marketing efforts. I came in actually as a senior marketing advisor, and just my role kind of evolved from there. And I enjoy what I do because I get to work with everyone in every department at BABL. So I get a little bit of, the auditor side, I get a little bit of the education side, I get a little bit of the advisory and even the government side. Having a background in the military myself and having been a government contractor myself, I have quite a bit of history there. And so I'm trying to take all of the things that I have learned over my very lengthy life and put those to use in setting up some operations for BABL and supporting Jeffrey in that effort as well, but also marketing. And I started this journey because I took the free course, Finding Your Place in AI Auditing. And I remember doing the course and thinking to myself, wow, this is me. Like, I belong here. This is what I'm passionate about. I worked in green energy. I worked in tech for a while. I worked at a venture capital for a bit. And I was never quite satisfied with what I was doing. I felt like there was something missing in what I was achieving every day. I was working a lot of hours, but I didn't feel like they were going to as much impactful things as I wanted them to. And so then I reached out to Jeffrey and I was like, hey, I'd really like to help if y'all, like, I've got this experience in marketing and ops if you need any help. And the rest is kind of history. And so I'm still doing the courses. I've been powering through them. I've still planned to finish my auditor cert. But in general, I love what BABL does. And I love the mission that we have here. And I love everybody that we work with. So I feel really honored to be here.
Can I just say too, like, Emily's being super modest. Constantly blowing us away. I do remember getting a random message. So if you join our program, you'll get into our Slack community, and we have a lot of people reach out, whether it's looking for jobs, getting into the courses, or just wanting to be involved in some way. Just want to get closer to Shea or Mert or whatever. But she messaged me once and was like, hey, can I help out? And I'm like, yeah, see what happens. This is something I think we need. And then every single time that I'd like ask a question or ask for information or like, what's your take on this? Or like, how would you approach this? Just like way blows my expectations. And I'm like, oh, this person's
Thank you.
awesome.
Oh, you're so kind. That is so sweet. Thank you so much. I'm glad you feel that way because I sometimes, we all get imposter syndrome. I think I don't know. Maybe y'all don't, but I do. So it always feels good to feel like I'm not an imposter here. So thank you so much.
No, you're awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we're very excited to have you on it. And it feels like you are in a unique perspective to talk about this. Having been part of the classes and now being part of BABL. And I'm going to lean on Jeffrey, as I always do, because he's way more prepared than I am, to sort of, what do we want to talk about? Because you end up fielding a lot of these questions, Jeffrey, like from the students, being in the position you are. What do people want to know, and what should we tell them about the job market, the program, all of this?
Yeah, so I guess I'll establish a little bit of context. So we talk about this internally. We talk to students all the time. Students approach us, but also I think we read the news as well. We see tens of thousands of people at this organization being laid off, tens of thousands of people at that organization being laid off, or a bunch of people were laid off here. Now they're coming back, but it's in a different approach. Or, hey, this company has just implemented a whole bunch of new AI throughout their organization. How's that changing your role? How's that changing the organization, the operations, the communications, the marketing, blah, 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 blah. AI. And, we talk about career changes and what all this means. And I think that's a good way to establish the conversation that we want to have, right? We're talking about training. We're talking about career changes, pivots, whatever it is, but maybe talk a bit about people's anxiety, people's excitement towards market changes, job changes. And I mean, Emily, I assume that's probably where you came from as well. Just like, I'm not feeling super fulfilled, or there's AI, I need to learn something about it. I see this free Finding Your Place in the AI ethics course, and it's just like a taste, right? Or you find a Lunchtime BABLing. So I guess maybe we can start there and establish like people's thoughts on changing economy, changing markets, changing jobs, and how AI and how training yourself on AI literacy and these different skills can help bolster your career or change your career, or find something more fulfilling. I don't know. That's a good start. I don't know if I'm more prepared than you. I think I just, I got some questions.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it sounds good. I mean, I think I'll start, I guess. It does feel like, so we're in sort of the knowledge economy, in some sense that, we have this expertise, we meaning probably most of the people listening here. You have some expertise. It's based on your experience, your education, your knowledge. You come into a situation in a company where you can apply that knowledge, bring them value. They're going to pay you for it, either as a sort of like a consultant or an employee or contractor or whatever. And I think we're all seeing the fact that, everybody now has what feels like a PhD expert on everything at your fingertips. And so there's this anxiety of like, why would anybody pay for me? And I think people currently working in jobs are feeling that. They're hearing about CEOs being like, we got to reduce headcount. Let's build agents. Let's use LLMs to automate workflows. And the whole goal is to get rid of headcount. I mean, that's the duty of the board. That's the duty of the C-suite. They're trying to maximize shareholder value. And so that's going to happen, and it is happening. And so the question is, where do you fit as a knowledge worker when you do have this thing out there, or these things, these tools that know more than you and can produce it very, very quickly? And I think that's where the anxiety, I feel like, is coming from. We'll talk a little bit about how I think you might want to address that. I don't know, Emily, if you've got anything, if that tracks with your experience, but that feels like that's the source, because you're always thinking, it's like that imposter syndrome ramped up, where it's like, oh my God, when are they going to figure out that they literally could have just gone to ChatGPT to do this, or Gemini or whatever, and they're going to not ask me anymore, and then I'm going to get my pink slip.
Can I just add something really quick to that?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
The one layer I would add to that before you jump in, Emily, is also just all of the constant information that you're getting on top of it. If you're on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Reddit, just the news daily, there's so many headlines, there's so many new advancements, there's so many new tools that come out. It's just boom, 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 right?
Yeah,
Jump
I
in, Emily.
completely agree. Thank you. So I actually was in a weird place that I worked at an AI based venture capital. So we worked with AI companies, but I didn't know much about AI. I was new to tech. I was actually transitioning into tech from working in operations in different sectors. And so I came into it thinking like, I know very little about tech, but I want to know it. I know that tech is important. I know that all of these things are important for my growth as a person, for my growth as a leader, as a manager. And I wanted to do so ethically. I actually have a consultancy that I consulted for marketing, mostly for DEIJ and for ethical systems of marketing. And I found, yeah, a lot of people were using ChatGPT to write their marketing stuff. And then what I found is it actually doesn't work as great as we think it does, because you have to know what you're doing and you have to know what works and what doesn't. And there's a lot of human elements missing in marketing when it comes to there. That's why there are so many faux pas in marketing and in things in operations with you have an offensive ad, or you have something that is just like misses the mark in some way. Because if you don't have that expertise to say, hey, this system might be flawed, then you don't know actually that you do need a person in the room. We always say human in the loop, because we need that human in the loop to make sure that everything's working right. And I became really interested in the ethics of it, because my background is in philosophy and ethics, and so like educationally. And I just Googled like ethics of AI and started like following people on LinkedIn that I thought were interesting. And Shea was one of them. And so then he promoted the free course, and that's how I got here. So it was a very like organic fall into it. But then I became obsessed in a way, because I was like, this is what I was meant to do. I'm really good at this. I'm good at setting up systems. I'm good at marketing, but I want to do it in a way that is ethical. And I want to do it in a way that I know that the systems that we are using, because AI is not going away. Like, it's not going away. We're not going to get rid of it. But you can fear it, or you can educate yourself in a way that leads to you harnessing it in the ways that are good, and not utilizing it in ways that might be dangerous, right? And one of the things that I love about our program is we are making sure that even if the people that aren't as educated on it use systems, I would say, I don't want to call any out, but we all know the big ones, Perplexity and ChatGPT and things like that, Claude, that systems that are even being used just with internal metrics of, how are we hiring? I've worked a lot in operations and in hiring practices. I've worked in, people operations. I've worked in tech operations. And when you're hiring people and your algorithms are biased unintentionally, it's going to affect how you're doing it. And if you're not a seasoned leader that knows to look for those things, then sometimes it's going to fall through. So what we are doing at BABL, or what the auditors are doing at BABL, is so vital. And so I was like, I've got to be a part of this. I don't know how I'm going to be a part of it. I'm not an auditor. I'm not whatever. I'm a marketer and an operations person. But I want to be a part of this in some way that is going to make a difference. And I want every hour that I'm working to be an hour I'm working towards ethical and responsible AI. And so I didn't know how that looked. I didn't know what I was going to do. I actually asked ChatGPT, ironically, like, how do I get into this? And so having Shea and you, Jeffrey, and all of the people at BABL, but also, the other great For Humanity and the IAAA, like, they are wonderful resources that gave me such a deep understanding. But a lot of people don't have as much time as I did. I have a lot of time to research. So I think that this conversation is super important too, because there are people that are struggling. There are people that are afraid they're going to lose their job tomorrow, or they have lost their job and they don't know where to go from here. And so my hope is that we can give some clarity on that and give people a little bit of peace of mind that even if you do lose your job, AI is not truly the issue. It's, can you use it properly? Is the AI being used efficiently? And are the companies that are using those AI systems doing so in a way that isn't going to cause unnecessary harm to people? So I hope that wasn't too much. Sorry, I babble
No,
too
yeah,
much.
you're
So
good. Well, this is lunchtime babbling, so this is where you babble. Um, da, 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 da. Uh, you made some really good points there. There was one point early in your babble that struck a chord with me, and that's this idea. AI is going to be everywhere. You said it. Like every single organization is going to implement AI somewhere in there. If you have a website, AI is going to help build it, format it, SEO, whatever. If you do sales, your POS system is going to have AI. It doesn't matter if you're selling bikes in a shack, or you're on a farm and you've got a tractor with AI systems optimizing, usage of resources, whatever. It's absolutely everywhere. But this point of, using it responsibly, but also knowing when it's wrong, right? So AI is likely not going to, blindly replace all of the experts. You still have to have people in the room that know what it is. And what this made me think of, and you're talking about it from like a marketing perspective, right? People are using ChatGPT and these tools to do their marketing efforts. But like as a consumer, like when I see AI, specifically AI slop, when I see like, oh, here's just a bunch of word vomit, somebody just used ChatGPT to give me an answer, I just gloss over. I'm like, maybe what are some key details, right? Or if I'm looking at like a TikTok or a YouTube video, if I'm just seeing like just a ton of AI imagery, it's just all AI generated, like I just gloss over. Maybe that's me, and 10 years from now, young people that are growing up with AI, that's not going to be them. But I tend to hope that the larger portion of people are going to be in the same camp of like, just AI generated slop is not great. And there's so much of that right now. And if you're a business leader and you're trying to figure out how we're going to implement AI into our systems and how we're going to have it augment the work of people, you still need experts in the room to maximize it, to make sure it's done correctly. And I guess I'll segue this back to Shea, like, talking about training and talking about how you as an employee or a future employee, and you want to maximize your value in the market. Like what are key skills people need to take away? What are some things that are going to give people an advantage, as they're looking to boost up their resume, if you will?
can I actually, before you answer that too, can we also acknowledge that a lot of people don't realize what AI actually is? Because AI, we think of GPTs, right? That is the first thing we think of. But
100%.
AI is in everything. It is in the algorithms on your phone and how your phone works. It's in our refrigerators. It's in so many different things. And so I think that is another thing that has always surprised me when you talk to people about AI is their knowledge base is so shallow because it's intentionally that way. I think that the way that it's framed with Grok and things like that, the framing is that AI is this big uh, thing that is big and scary, but AI has been around for a very long time in different formats, and it's also something that affects literally everything we do. So it's not like we can just ignore it and it go away, but also it's not as scary as it could be. I think that there is a lot of hype there. So I hope that that makes sense. But that is something that really struck me when I was, when I talk to people about AI.
Yeah, one way, so in terms of like if you're sitting at a job and you're thinking to yourself, like, how am I going to prepare? The most obvious thing is to start using AI. Make sure that you understand and know how to use AI and understand how it works, understand its limitations is probably the biggest thing. And then what I think is going, because content is so easy to make, right? You can ask these models to just give you tons of information, plan things for you, right? The biggest skill is, and people caught on to this early on, like, is this, asking the right questions. Obviously, I think a lot of people are getting that. They're recognizing that, and so that's not a surprise. So people are sort of wise to the idea that they need to be able to ask it the right questions. I think the more important thing now, on top of that, is to have a good filter, is to be able to, because you see this in workplaces all the time, people just, handing over these massive documents to their colleagues that were generated by AI, unfiltered, and you just, it's wasting everybody's time. And so if I'm, if I'm a boss looking at employees and thinking, who do I want to keep around, right? It's the person who has the best filter. It's the person who doesn't inundate me with everything that could be written about a particular thing. It's a person who has filtered whatever comes out through the lens of expertise, through the lens of experience, has boiled it down to the most germane things for whatever task we're and then delivering that in a very concise way. So communication, storytelling, minimalistic. And I feel like what we're going to see is, to Jeffrey's point about AI slop, and what we're going to see is that I think we're going to peel back the expectations about how information is delivered. And I think we're going to start erring, we meaning people, society interacting with AI, is going to start erring on minimalistic, first principles, very clear, easy to understand kind of communication. And that's going to be the power. And so in order to do that, I think you have to really, be an expert in something, right? So you have to actually understand things. You can't, I think it's almost the opposite. It's not like you don't need to learn anything because AI, you have this PhD in every field at your fingertips. It's quite the opposite. If you want to participate in the economy and be relevant in the face of that, you have to build up expertise in that filter in a particular area that is relevant for you, relevant for the business, relevant for producing value. And so that's the thing that I think, always forcing yourself to be like, do I need these 10 pages that just got produced? Could I have thought slower about this and boiled it down to something very simple, and then given it to my boss in a much simpler way? And so I think that filter is going to be really important, and it's going to take some time to develop that. I think it takes time. It takes deliberate effort to develop that.
We lost
Sorry, I
Emily for a
disappeared,
second.
by the way. I live in Cornwall, England, and the wind has been so bad that I lost power and internet yesterday. And
Oof.
then today, it's still, I think we're getting effects from Storm Melissa. Like, the wind is really bad. So I apologize if I cut out, but I will do my best.
That's all good. And we can fill in gaps if you disappear for another minute. I have some thoughts on that. I had a lot of thoughts on that, actually. Number of things, like the algorithms get better. An algorithm is only as good as the data that's put into it, right? So the more data you have and the more refined that data is, the better. I hear a lot of people in my personal life talking about the AI tools that they are using. And a common thread I've heard is the tool that we use internally, the one with all of those guardrails to make sure that like information isn't going out and you're saying the wrong stuff, is not good. But then their personal ChatGPT is good. So they'll use personal ChatGPTs to try and help out. And maybe they're like filtering out that, sensitive names and stuff like that because the tool internally is not good. But that's not good for the long term. These tools will get better and they're going to get smarter over time, right? And that's how you use those systems. So learning how to use those systems, that basic layer of literacy on AI and how to refine it and how to tweak it and how to make sure it's being used correctly is super valuable. I have so many other thoughts on what you said, Shea, but I'll let Emily.
I was going to say we could go on
thoughts
for hours about that. I think that is one of those topics that you just, like I said, the people, the human in the loop, or the people in the room. If a seasoned manager or a seasoned marketer or a seasoned whatever, is going to see the issues that the AI systems, the GPTs and stuff are doing. But when companies are making these calls, they're maybe not looking at that and saying, who are the people that are doing well at stopping, the harms of this. So that is, that's a caution for those companies, but that's not why we're here today. So I apologize for that. But
so maybe we should talk a little bit about what do you do? So this is like using AI in work in general. But what if you wanted to get into responsible AI or AI auditing? Because I think a lot of people who take our courses or who are listening to this might be thinking to themselves, okay, I really am passionate about this. I'd like to do this for work. How do I approach that? And how would, let's say, your program help us in doing that? And so I think I'm going to say some general things, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. And it's going to be super, super broad and just random. I'm just going to just dump it all out here and see what you think. I think that um, our this field of sort of governing, wrangling, auditing, testing, ensuring AI is safe, this field is going to be the field. Even if you're a marketer, even if you're a salesperson, even if you are a internal ops person or whatever, your ability to do all of those things, to wrangle AI and understand how it works and how to use it optimally and to limit the downside, is going to be kind of the critical thing. And I've said this before in the podcast. I won't say it again, but, well, actually, I better say it again because I just said it. I think this will be one of the last human jobs, right? I think that the people who shepherd these systems will be one of the last human jobs. Okay, that being said, are people falling all over themselves to hire those people right now? No, but there are increasingly more and more positions out there. So if you go to like All Tech is Human job board, you can see these roles getting. Now, right now, they're very unrealistic in their expectations. They want you to have experience. Typically, they're hiring at a relatively high level. They want experience that is longer than the field has even been around. I think what that is a reflection of the fact that those people don't know what they're doing. So they're using ChatGPT or Claude or whatever to write these job descriptions, and they have very unrealistic expectations. That will start to go down. And people will realize that you don't need to have 10 years of experience in a field that's been around for like 7 years. So, but there are jobs out there, and we have graduates of our program who have gotten jobs working in responsible AI programs, working as chief data officers, as data protection officers, and working in responsible AI in AI auditing. So it has happened, right? And they have come from fields which were not that. They came from fields which are not necessarily even technical. So the path is there, but it's not to say that it's going to be super easy. And so there's going to be some really critical things that people have to do to make the best of this program, any other program. And it has to be about consistent practice. So it's a thing that you have to practice. Your ability to do these various things that we teach, assess risk, govern, audit, test, understand, and interrogate these systems. You can't just assume that a class will get it for you. You have to practice it, which is why we have a capstone and all of that. You have to capture the fact that you have mastered that through things like case studies that you can, show other people, that you can use to speak sort of fluently about it when you speak to an interviewer, when you're interviewing for a job. You have to know the language. You have to know what's currently out there. And similarly, I think you have to not get overwhelmed and paralyzed by the fact that you can't know everything. And so my advice for this, and I want to hear what you two have to say about it. My advice has always been, because I get this paralyzed feeling, and then I realize I just need to focus on being good at a thing, and it doesn't even matter what that thing is. I just pick a thing. So that could be, like, broadly speaking, like AI auditing was my thing back in the day. Now that AI auditing is very broad because more people are in the field. So now it's like, I'm going to test LLMs for a particular risk that's relevant for, like, the financial services industry. Like, just go narrow, go deep, and don't worry about anything else. Because once you get good at going deep, you can always go deep somewhere else if you see a shift in the market or a need. So I'm going to stop there, but I think that there is a massive opportunity in this field. It just will take time for people to realize how badly they need this type of talent.
Let me take what you said, and then I'm gonna twist it in a question for Emily to reply, if that's all right. Because I don't think the average person listening to this, and I don't think the average person in the market is trying to become like a director or a chief executive of something. They're not trying to get some super high level. And I think you're right. If you look at the majority of the jobs that have come out in the last few years, they're super, super high level, and they want 10 years of experience that doesn't exist. But Emily, I think you represent the broader audience. I think you represent somebody that was working, they see a shift, or they're not fulfilled and they see an opportunity with AI. And you kind of organically stumbled into BABL, and you stumbled into the AI Auditor program. What is your mindset in that that journey of yours as you're stumbling into this market. You're seeing these this education. Like, where's your head at as a learner?
That's a great question, because I thought about that as as I was preparing for this chat with y'all. I was thinking, like, how did I get here? How did I just fall into this? I have always been interested in ethics as a person. Ethics has been my big thing, but I was a stay-at-home mom for 15 years, and I was in the military before that. While I was a stay-at-home mom, I worked several jobs. I taught, I got into academia. Like, I kind of went all over the map, and I was just searching a lot. And I think that there are a lot of people out there that can feel that that push of, like, I have to figure something out because this isn't working. But I think one of the things that I would stress as a person that has done some of the courses is that this is like anything that you're going to go into in the world. If you want to be an operations person, you're going to study up on operations best practices and things like that, right? You're going to not just do one course. You're going to do a course and then a supplemental course, and then you're going to read a book that goes with it, and you're going to work on, you're going to find some things in the background. You're going to talk to people in the field. One of the biggest things is everybody at BABL, we're all open to talking to people. You can literally just message us, and I can't think of a single person on our team that wouldn't be like, yeah, I'll have a 15-minute call with you, 30-minute call with you, and let you pick my brain about this. This is such a new field that I felt very nervous that I wasn't going to live up to what was needed. And I found that actually there are so many different people that are needed in this field. You can't just have people that are experts in the field. You have to have people that are experts in people. You have to have people that are experts in systems. You have to have people that are experts in all of the things that AI touches. If you think to yourself, I'm only going to be able to get into this because I'm this, that's not true. You could be a stay-at-home mom that is like, I'm really worried about the ethics of how this is going to affect children, my children, and taking the course is not going to immediately guarantee you that you're going to be the next big auditor. But what it does is it sets the tone for your career. And what another thing that I love about BABL is there is such a community within us. There is the Slack community where we keep in touch. There are jobs posted constantly. People are asking questions. We share research together. One of the things about BABL that really blows me away is it started out, I don't know if people know, but it's the Brown anti-bias lab, right? So, like, we are a research facility that is also teaching people what we know. And it shows in our courses. We love what we do, but we're not churning these courses out with ChatGPT and trying to teach people. This is years and years of research. We have Yovana, who is an amazing ethics officer and researcher. We have so many people on our team that are doing deep work in the real research of how we can make these systems better, right? And so the value to me of the course was that I wasn't taking a course that was designed to get me certified. Like, I started doing the AIGP thing before, sort of in tandem. And I found that I didn't like the AIGP because it's all about the test, right? It's kind of like when I did Scrum and when I did other things. It's all about the test. It's all about getting certified. BABL is a way of life. We have the BABL way, and you can find that on our website. We'll link to it. I'm sure Jeffrey will link to it and stuff. But there is a goal at BABL that is to support the people that are doing this work, to focus on researching ways to make AI better and make it safer and more human friendly, to protect humanity in that way. We have partnerships with other teams like For Humanity and things like that, Etiquus. We've got these different groups of people that are all working together. If you come into this and you say, this is what I want to do, it's going to be hard work. It's not easy. You do have to find the effort and the time to put into it. But it's also such a beautiful community of people that are genuinely compassionate and kind and helpful. Mert is the nicest person you'll ever meet. I love Mert to death. My partner actually did the program with BABL. And Mert and he had a long conversation, and Mert still emails Kevin all of these, links to free courses and things, free resources and research. We are a team at BABL, but when people take our courses, they become a part of that team in a way. And I think as a learner that came from the outside in, that has been the most impressive thing to me. The community that we've built and the opportunities that do reside. And again, it's not like a get rich quick scheme. If it was, I wouldn't be a part of it because it wouldn't be something I could believe in. This is something that you're going to make a difference. You're going to have to work hard, and you're going to have to do outside research. But at the end of the day, if this is something that you truly believe in, and I think it is something that a lot of people believe in, this is the very beginning of an amazing new opportunity for you. That's my feeling.
Let me ask a follow-up really quick. I'm pretty sure Mert also watches all these episodes, so just hi, Mert.
Hi, Mert. Hello.
Mert's great. Ask a follow-up question on that. Away from like BABL and talk more about the individual and their learning journey. I'm wondering if you could contextualize, like, say, we're talking vaguely about our program, we're talking vaguely about jobs and all this, but from your own experience and maybe, I don't know, how detailed you can get, and I'm also looking at, we got about maybe 10 minutes left in the recording. But here's my question. Maybe from like a marketing perspective. So you're an expert in marketing and you've got years of experience working with marketing. How can the skills you learn, say in our AI Auditor program or one of, our Finding Your Place in AI Ethics course, how can those skills translate to the daily operations of someone's job in marketing?
That's a great question, and thank you for asking it because it is something that I was hoping you'd ask. I was going to bring it up somehow, but I would say that as we have talked about the human in the loop, right? We've talked about the person that is making sure that these AI systems are working in a way that isn't harming people, but also that we're looking for that AI SOP. When I coach companies about their AI system or about their marketing, I do a lot of D&J training and things like that, but also just storytelling. Marketing is storytelling, right? You're telling the story of why you're not selling a product. You're giving people the answer as to why they need that product. Nobody looks at something and goes, "Oh, that's cool, I'm just going to buy it." There has to be a reason, right? And if you are using AI systems, and everyone in marketing is, this is a joke. Like, I'm using AI systems to throw together things and blah, blah, blah. If you have the passion for AI ethically, the courses that we have teach you the red flags that you might not have seen in the things that you are doing. But it also makes you leaps and bounds above your peers, because your peers may be using AI slop in that scenario, or they might not see that there are actual harms in for instance, there was a company that I really love. They're a wonderful company, but they did a marketing campaign that was so confusing to me because it didn't match their personality. It didn't match their mission. It didn't match their ethics. And I asked them what happened, and they said, "Oh, we outsourced to a marketing company, and they hired a bunch of influencers, and the influencers did some stuff. We didn't even see it." If you don't know what you're utilizing and what your people underneath you are utilizing and how it's going to affect your bottom line. If you want to talk about bottom line, like, this is a company's worst nightmare to have some very bad, unethical. When I say they were unethical, it was misogynistic, it was racist, there were some really bad things in there, but they weren't doing that. It wasn't them. It was that some 20-something-year-old that went on ChatGPT and said, "Give me a script for this," threw that together, and it ended up affecting their bottom line. What I learned in the course was how to look at the way that these things are affecting marginalized communities, how they are affecting the narrative that we use as a company to promote ourselves. You can't tell a good story if you don't have good facts, right? If your facts are skewed, or if they are not based in good principles, you can't tell a good story. You're going to be telling something that is not true to form. So as a marketer, even if I didn't go into AI auditing, which I might not, because I'm loving what I do as, a interim chief of staff to Shea and stuff like that. It has taught me how to recognize systems that aren't working. But even just as a person, I have kids, I have friends that use AI. It has taught me how to spot errors in situations that when I'm hiring people in operations, if I'm an operations officer, right, or an operations manager or an operations associate, and I see that our HR systems are filtering out certain demographics, and I don't say anything because I don't know that I should be saying something, because I might just assume, oh, that we're using AI and it's fine and the AI is trained. If you don't know what that data is, you don't know if that's trained the way that is safe and that is good for people. And so what it teaches you is how to spot the dangers, not just, to the bottom line of the company, but to humanity and to people around you and to your own job. Your promotion might be on the line because the AI system might not recognize the things that you've done, things like that. So it just gives you that deeper understanding of what AI is. And again, where AI systems are. Shea goes very deep into the types of different AIs that are out there and how they affect people. And so again, I'm babbling, but I feel like the information, even if people just took this as a course to learn about AI specifically, it tells you how AI systems work. It tells you the mathematics. I mean, Shea goes deep into math, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not great at math. And he walked me through it in a way that made it easier for me to understand. But also he does the calls each week. And so I was able to ask those questions and get a deeper understanding and talk to people that are in other professions too. So I hope that answered the question. But in general, I think that there is just a need for people to educate themselves on how these systems deeply work. Shea goes into how they make the decisions, into how the AI bases the calculations, like how the data systems work. If you don't know that kind of thing, you're not going to necessarily know how it's going to affect your output. So I hope that works.
I feel like that was good. Shea, we got about 3-4 minutes left to record. Why don't you bring us home? Give us your final thoughts. Talk, maybe some ideas on the future of AI in the job market, and alleviate people's anxiety. I don't know, just throwing some words out at this point.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we need to have a follow-up conversation, because I think I really like this conversation, but I think we'll need to get back to some practical strategy for people. But for now, I think I would say that it feels like things are moving very fast, and they are, but that doesn't mean that you have to move fast. You have to move deliberately. And if you are making deliberate movements, it always pays to invest in your own understanding of things. Invest time. I'm not talking about, it doesn't matter if you take our courses or not. Just investing time in understanding what's happening with the world right now and getting experience there. So it's okay as long as there's consistent movement where every day you're learning a little bit of something new in that direction. It's going to be useful for you. And there will be time to pivot. There will be time to change. The world is not moving so fast that you need to, because frantic movement is going to be going from one thing to another thing to another thing. I'm seeing a lot of that right now, and it's hard because the world is crazy. But just understand that investing in yourself is one of the only ways that you can consistently know you will get return on investment. And so just learn these things. And I think we'll have another conversation where we can talk about, all right, now that you have, let's say you have lost your job, or you feel like you're going to lose your job, or you were ready to change your job, and you would like to go into something that is more AI governance, AI auditing, AI assurance. What are the deliberate steps to do that? I think we have some clear advice here. And so that's what I think we talk about on the next episode. But for now, I'm so excited. Thank you, Emily, for joining us. Jeffrey, it's always awesome to have you. And if you are listening to us on a podcast, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. If you're watching us on YouTube, we'd love a like and subscribe. Really helps us out. And we're going to catch you next time on Lunchtime BABLing.